Hello YouTube, Otaku here. I am going to be picking back up on page 234, The Grapes of Wrath. Of course, before we start, let's go ahead and commence the inhaling of our psychoactive eucalyptus. Incredible. We're gonna go right into this session. Clean it proper. Of course, before we start, make sure to get yourself a container of water. Probably go ahead and give myself a swig right fast. Alright, let's do this. Page 234. I didn't want to know. It wasn't so nice as here. Couldn't lie down. Well, don't you bother me a squawking and a talking, Ruthie said. 'Cause Paul's going to sleep, and when I wake up, we better be there. 'Cause Tom said so. Gonna seem funny to see pretty country. The sun went down and left a great halo in the sky. And it grew very dark under the tarpaulin. A long cave with light at the end. A flat triangle of light. Connie and Rosa Sharon leaned back against the cab, and the hot wind rumbling through the tent struck the back of their heads, and the tarpaulin whipped and drummed above them. They spoke together in low tones, pitched to the drumming canvas so that no one could hear them. When Connie spoke, he turned his head and spoke into her ear, and she did the same to him. She said, "Seems like we wasn't never gonna do nothing but move. I'm so tired." He turned his head to her ear. "Maybe in the morning. How'd you like to be alone now?" In the dusk, his hand moved down and stroked her hip. She said, "Don't. You'll make me crazy as a loon. Don't do that." And she turned her head to hear his response. "Maybe. When everybody's asleep?" "Maybe," she said. "But wait till we get there to sleep. You'll make me crazy, and maybe they won't get to sleeping." "I can't hardly stop," he said. "I know. Me neither. Let's talk about when we get there, and you move away before I get crazy on you." He shifted away a little. "Well, I'll get to study at nights right off," he said. She sighed deeply. "Gonna get one of them books that tells about to cut the coupon right off." "How long you think?" she asked. "How long what? How long before you'll be making big money and we'll get eyes?" "Can't tell," he said importantly. "Can't really rightly tell. Fella might all be studying up pretty good before Christmas." "Soon you'll be getting studying up. We could get ice and stuff, I guess." That was him who said that. I apologize. No, that was her. "Soon you'll get studied up and we could get ice and stuff, I guess." He chuckled. "Was this here heat?" he said. "What are we gonna do ice around Christmas for?" She giggled. "That's right. But I'd like some ice anytime. Now don't you go getting me crazy." The dusk passed into dark, and the desert stars came out in the soft sky. Stars stabbing and sharp, with few points and rays to them, and the sky was velvet, and the heat changed. While the sun was up, it was a beating, flaring heat, and now the heat came from below, from the earth itself, and the heat was thick and muffling. The lights of the truck came on, and they illuminated a little blur of highway right ahead, and a strip of desert on each side of the road, and sometimes eyes gleamed into the lights far ahead, but no animals showed the lights. It was pitch dark under the canvas now. Uncle John and the preacher were curled into the middle of the truck, resting on their elbows and staring out into the black triangle. They could see the two bumps that were there, Ma and Grandma against the outside. They could see Ma moving occasionally, and her dark arm moving against the outside. Uncle John talked to the preacher. "Casey," he said, you're a fella ought to know what to do." "What to do about what? Question mark. "I don't know," said Uncle John. Casey said, "Well, that's going to make it easy for me." "Well, you've been a preacher." "Look, John, everybody's taking a crack at me because I've been a preacher. A preacher ain't nothing but a man." "Yeah, but he's a kind of man. Else he wouldn't be a preacher." "I wanted to ask you, well, you think a fella could bring bad luck to folks?" "I don't know," said Casey. "I don't know." "Well, see, I was married. Fine, good girl. And one night, she got a stomach in her pain. And she says, 'You better go get a doctor.' And I say, 'Hell, you just eating too much.'" Uncle John put his hand on Casey's knee, and he peered through the darkness at him. "She gave me a look. She groaned all night, and she died the next afternoon." The preacher mumbled something. "You see," John went on, "I killed her. And since then, I tried to make up for it. Mostly to kids. And I tried to be good, and I can't. I get drunk, and I get wild." "Everybody gets wild," said Casey. "I do too." Dear God, I remember Uncle John mentioning this before about his wife being killed because he didn't, take her to the doctor soon enough. It's just it's being brought up again now in, more intense moment. Anyways, 236, right at the top. "Yeah, but you ain't got a sin on your soul like me," Casey said gently. "Sure, I got sins. Everybody got sins. A sin is something you ain't sure about. Them people that's sure about everything and ain't got no sin? Well, what's that kind of son of a bitch? If I was God, I'd kick their asses right out of heaven. I couldn't stand them." Uncle John said, "I got a feeling I'm bringing bad luck to my own folks. I got a feeling I ought to go away and leave them be. They ain't comfortable being like this." Casey said quickly, "I know this. A man gotta do what he got to do. I can't tell you. I don't think there's luck or bad luck. Only one thing in this world I'm sure of, and I'm sure nobody got the right to mess with a fella's life. He got to do it all himself. Help him, maybe, but not tell him what to do." Uncle John said disappointingly, "Then you don't know." "I don't know." "You think it was a sin to let my wife die like that?" "Well," Casey said, "for anybody else it was a mistake. But for you, think it was a sin? Then it's a sin. A fella builds his own sins right up from the ground." "I gotta give that a going over," said Uncle John, and he rolled on his back and laid on his knees, pulled up. The truck moved over the hot earth, and hours passed. Ruthie and Winefield went to sleep. Connie loosened a blanket from the load and covered himself and Rosa Sharon with it. And in the heat they struggled together, held their breaths, and after a time Connie threw off the blanket, and the hot tunneling wind fell cool on their wet bodies. On the back of the truck, Ma laid on the mattress beside Grandma, and she could not see with her eyes. I apologize. Alright. She could feel the struggling body and the struggling heart, and the sobbing breath was in her ear. And Ma said over and over, "All right, it's gonna be all right," she said harshly. "You know the family got to get across. You know that, right?" Uncle John called out. "You all right?" It was a moment before she answered. "All right. Guess I dropped off to sleep." And after a time, Grandma was still, and Ma laid triggered beside her. It's a nice little word. Laid triggered beside her. The night hours passed, and the dark was in against the truck. Sometimes cars passed them, going west and away, and sometimes great trucks came out of the west and rumbled eastward, and the stars flowed down on a slow cascade. Over the western horizon, it was a near midnight where they neared Daggett, where the inspection station is. The road was floodlight there, and a sign illuminated, "Keep right and stop." The officers loafed in the office. After they came out and stood under the long covered shed where Tom pulled in, one officer pulled down the license number. One officer put down the license number and raised the horn. Tom asked, "What's this here?" Agricultural inspection. "We gotta look over your stuff. Got any vegetables or seeds?" "No," said Tom. "Well, we gotta look over your stuff. You got to unload." Now Ma climbed heavily down from the truck. Her face was swollen and her eyes were hard. "Look, mister, we got a sick old lady. We gotta get her off to a doctor. We can't wait." She seemed to fight the hysteria. "You can't make us wait." "Yeah? Question mark? Well, we gotta look you over." "I swear we ain't got a thing," Ma cried. "I swear it, and Grandma's awfully sick." "You don't look so good yourself," said the officer. Ma pulled herself up from the back of the truck, hoisted herself with a huge strength. "Look," she said. The officer shot a flashlight beam of the old shrunken lady. Shrunken. I was about to say skunkin'. "By God, she is," he said. "You swear you got no seeds or fruit or vegetables, no corns, no oranges?" No, I swear we don't." "Then go ahead and get her to a doctor in Barstow. That's only 8 miles. Go on ahead." Tom climbed in and drove. The officer turned to his companion. "I couldn't hold him." "Maybe it was a bluff," said the other. "Oh, Jesus, no. You should have seen that old woman's face. That wasn't no bluff." That's terrible. Like, even the officer, despite, they're probably then themselves are like, what is the word for that? It's not racist, but it's a lot prejudice. Even they're probably prejudiced in some ways, but after seeing Grandma, thank God that at least that guy had a heart. Anyways, we're almost done with this page, then we're going to smoke some more. Tom increased his speed to Barstow, and in the little town he stopped, got out, and walked around the truck. Ma leaned out. "It's all right," she said. "I didn't want to stop there, feared we wouldn't get across." "Yeah, but how's Grandma?" Question mark. Okay, smoke right fast. Yeah, so good on Ma. She's really doing her part, revealing and acknowledging the situation, even to strangers, is a better tactic than sitting there simply being begrudging about everything. And also, Tom's on the run. I'm pretty sure he needs to go talk to probation and he can't dip out of the state. So as many times they're running into cops, I can only speculate that they are more than likely going to push their luck and Tom is going to get caught up about this parole. And it's going to happen, watch, at the worst moments when the family's going to need him the most. Alright, let's smoke. This is fucking awesome. I've always wanted to do something like this. Even if it's not something live streaming wise, like nobody's here right now. Just even putting something out into the world, my face, my voice, my thoughts, has been the most exhilarating out of everything. I can't describe to you just how much fun I'm having, despite how little is being given back. I'm not getting like thousands of views, people aren't commenting, but I can tell you this much, I'm having fun. And I think that's the start of something very, very beautiful. There's going to be a lot of hard moments that come. And you gotta focus on the good while it's happening. You can acknowledge the bad. You can sit there and even smile at the bad. And it may even sit there and smile back. At the end of the day, what's truly being understood is bliss is being taken away at your darkest moments, even when you're happy. And you do the best you can. And you still are being thrown around by an uncontrollable force in life. And it only gets harder the more you invoke yourself into being who you want to be. In a weird way, I think I found myself in nirvana, or I'm on the track to getting there. Alright, let's smoke. Oh, that was nice. That was real nice. Ooh, that that was nature deluxe. That was like everything that's nature's good. Tasted like the best grass I've ever smoked. All right, let's continue. Yep. Page 238, sentence 3. She alright. Alright, drive on. We gotta get across. Tom shook his head and walked back. Ow, he said. I said that kind of. Ow, he said. I'm gonna fill her up, and then you drive some. He pulled to an all-night gas station and filled the tank, and the radiator filled the crankcase. Then Al slipped under the wheel, and Tom took the outside, with Paul in the middle. They drove away into the darkness, and a little hill near Barstow were behind them. Tom said, I don't know what's gone in the mall. She's flighty as a dog with a flea on her ear. Wouldn't it took long to look over the stuff, and she says Grandma's sick. And now she says Grandma's alright. I can't figure her out. She ain't right. Suppose she worn her brain out during the trip. I don't think he needs to worry about Ma. I think Tom needs to, worry about himself right now. First off, Ma's doing great. She's, even said it in the book. It was, beyond the hysteria. And Ma is just looking out for everybody. Look, Grandma's sick. She's worried about him getting caught up. There's a lot of things at stake here. I can appreciate Tom caring about Ma, but at the same time, We all have our positions to play right now. You better freaking figure yours out. Alright, we got like 5 minutes left, and then the video's gonna be over. Let's keep it going. Paul said, Maul's almost like she was when she was a girl. She was a wild one then. She wasn't scared of nothing. I thought having all the kids and working took it out of her, but I guess it ain't. Christ. When she got that sack handle back there, that jack handle back there, I tell you, I wouldn't want to be the fella that took it away from her. I don't know what's gotten into her, Tom said. Maybe she's just tired out. Al said, I wouldn't be doing no weeping and a moaning to get through. I got this goddamn car on my soul. Tom said, well, you done a damn good job at picking. We ain't had hardly no trouble with her at all. All night they bored through the hot darkness, and Jack Rabbit scuttled into the light and dashed away in long, jolting leaps. And the dawn came up behind them when the lights of Mojave were ahead. The Mojave! The freaking Fallout New Vegas Mojave. Okay. And the dawn showed high mountains to the west. They filled the water and oil at Mojave and crawled into the mountains, and the dawn was about them. Tom said, Jesus, that desert's past. Paul, Al, for Christ's sakes, the desert's past. I'm too goddamn tired to care, said Al. Want me to drive? No. Wait a while. This is getting good. I like it so far. I think we're gonna hit the end of this page and then we're gonna stop. So they drove through the Tehachapi in the morning glow. They drove through to Tehachapi in the morning glow, and the sun came up behind them. And then, suddenly, they saw the great valley behind them. Al jammed on the brake and stopped in the middle of the road. And, Jesus Christ, look, he said. The vineyards, the orchards, the great flat valley, green and beautiful. The trees set in rows, and the farmhouses. And Paul said, God Almighty. The distant cities, the little towns, and the orchard land, and the morning sun golden on the valley. A car honked behind them. Al pulled up to the side of the road and parked. I want to look at her. The grain fields golden in the morning, and the willows lines, the eucalyptus trees in rows. Paul sighed. I never knew they'd have anything like her. The peach trees and the walnut groves and the dark green patches of oranges and the red roofs among the trees and barns, rich barns. Al got out and stretched his legs. He called, Ma, come look, we're there. Ruthie and Winefield scrambled down from the car, and then they stood silent and awestruck, embarrassed before the great valley. The distance was thin with haze, and the land grew softer and softer in the distance. The windmill flashed in the sun, and its turned blades were like a little heliograph far away. Ruthie and Winefield looked at it, and Ruthie whispered, It's California. Winefield moved his lips silently over the syllables. There's fruit, he said out loud. Casey and Uncle John, Connie, and Rosa Sharon climbed down, and they stood silently. Rosa Sharon had started to brush her hair back when they caught night of the valley, and her hand dropped slowly to her side. Tom said, Where's Ma? I want Ma to see it. Look, Ma. Come here, Ma. Ma was climbing slowly, stiffly, down the backboard. She looked at her. My God, Ma. You sick? His face was stiff and pretty-like. Her face was stiff and pretty-like, and her eyes seemed to have sunken deep into her head, and the rims were red with weariness. Her feet touched the grass, and she braced herself by holding the truck side. Her voice was a croak. You say we're across? Tom pointed to the Great Valley. Look, Ma! Alright. Page 240. This is where we are going to go ahead and stop. Thank you very much for joining me. Right before we stop, one more time real quick. Clink, clink, clink. They made it! They made it! Alright, see ya.